Some people don't complain. They don't cry loudly. They don't always ask for help. But inside them is a long story. A story of carrying too much for too long. Psychologists have studied people like this, not to label them as broken, but to understand how the human mind adapts when life keeps asking for more than feels fair. Today, we'll talk about the psychology of people who have endured too much. What happens to the mind when pain becomes familiar, and why these people are often misunderstood. Enduring too much doesn't always mean one big tragedy. Sometimes it means growing up without feeling safe, being expected to be strong too early, repeated disappointment, emotional neglect, constant pressure without rest. Psychologist Judith Herman, who studied trauma, explains that long-term stress changes how the brain works, especially when there is no escape or support. When pain is repeated, the mind doesn't panic forever. It adapts. And adaptation can look like strength, but it comes with a cost. One common trait psychologists notice is silence. People who have endured too much often stop explaining themselves, not because they have nothing to say, but because, in the past, explaining didn't change anything. Psychologists describe something called learned helplessness. When someone tries again and again and nothing improves, the brain learns to stop trying. So instead of speaking, they observe. Instead of reacting, they withdraw. Their quiet is not weakness. It is a memory. They become emotionally strong and emotionally tired. Many people admire them and say, "You're so strong." And yes, they are strong. But psychologists point out an important truth. Constant strength leads to emotional exhaustion. Dr. Bessel van der Kolk explains that the nervous system of someone under long-term stress is always on alert. Even when things are calm, their body remembers chaos. So they may feel tired without knowing why, struggle to relax, feel empty after being strong for too long. Their strength wasn't chosen. It was required. People who have endured too much often believe one quiet rule. If I don't rely on anyone, I won't be disappointed. Psychologists say this is a protective belief. Asking for help once and being ignored, asking again and being judged, eventually teaches the brain, handle it alone. So even when help is available, they hesitate, not because they don't need it, but because needing it once hurt too much. Contrary to what many think, these people are not emotionally numb. In fact, research shows they often feel more deeply than others. But they learned early that showing emotion wasn't safe. So they hide it. They smile. They joke. They change the subject. Psychologist Carl Rogers believed that when emotions are not accepted, people learn to bury them rather than express them. What looks like emotional distance is often emotional overload. Another trait psychologists notice is hyper-awareness. People who endure too much often learn to read tone of voice, facial expressions, and small changes in mood. Their brain became skilled at prediction. Why? Because predicting danger once meant survival. Even as adults, they may notice things others miss. They sense tension quickly. They feel shifts in energy. This isn't overthinking. It's adaptation. Love for them is not careless. Psychologists say people with long emotional histories often love slowly, cautiously, with boundaries, not because they don't care, but because they care deeply. They've learned that attachment can hurt, so they test safety before they trust. And when they do love, they love with loyalty shaped by survival. From the outside, people may say, "You're distant, you don't open up, you're too independent." But psychology reminds us, behavior is shaped by experience. People who endure too much are not cold. They are careful. They are not proud. They are protecting old wounds. Understanding them requires patience, not pressure. Psychologists agree on one hopeful truth. The brain can learn safety again through consistent kindness, safe relationships, therapy, self-compassion. Slowly, the nervous system relaxes. The mind learns new patterns. The heart softens. Healing doesn't erase the past. It teaches the body that the danger is past. If you are someone who has endured too much, you are not broken. You are not weak. You adapted the best way you could. And if you know someone like this, be gentle, be patient. Sometimes their silence holds stories words couldn't survive. On this channel, we dive deep into the kind of psychology that actually explains you. If you enjoyed this video, do hit that like button and subscribe to join the community. See you in the next video.